follows US President Donald Trump's decision to pull the US out of the Iran nuclear agreement.
We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States. America will not be held hostage to nuclear blackmail.
Tehran says it is willing to uphold the international accord without Washington. Germany, France and Britain also reiterating their commitment to the deal. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia and Israel welcomed Trump's move to ditch the accord. Let's bring in Peter Brookes. He's Senior Fellow, National Security Affairs at the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. He joins us on the line from Washington, D.C. My colleague Sri Jagaraja also with me this morning. Peter, thanks for your time. You have said that President Trump's decision to exit this deal is totally justifiable. Why?
Well, because the JCPOA of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the Iran nuclear deal, is flawed. It's been flawed for quite some time. It doesn't address a number of issues that will not prevent Iran from becoming, at some point, a nuclear weapon state.
Peter, what is going to be the overall reaction, do you think, of the US's allies? Because they really don't see eye to eye on the action that Washington has taken. Washington just doesn't seem to have the buy-in from Europe and the rest of the world.
Well, that's true. But, of course, this negotiation fundamentally was between U.S. and Iran, wasn't it? I mean, these were other signatories to it. But the United States and Iran, John Kerry led the United States delegation and was on the other side with the Iranians. So the United States is the key partner here. The Europeans have had an opportunity, and I hope they will continue to try to get Iran to come back to the negotiating table. And I think that's what the effort of the administration is here. I have no privileged information. I'm not in the administration. But my sense is the president says this is not supporting American interests. You know, the sunset provisions, the ballistic missiles, the advanced centrifuge research, the inability to inspect at military sites. He's said in January, he said, look, I need Iran to come back to the table to make this a comprehensive deal. They still have another 4 months, essentially, because these sanctions won't be reimposed for another 120 days, the way it works. And Iran has that opportunity. What we're hearing from Iran so far is they're not talking about leaving the deal. They're trying to negotiate something with the Europeans. But the fact of the matter is that this does not support American interests, and Iran needs to come back to the table, and we would welcome the support and efforts of our allies in making that happen.
But the problem with the reaction of Tehran is that there's a very strong hardline lobby within the leadership of the country, and I have heard reports that they are committed to resuming where they left off in terms of uranium enrichment. Isn't that going to be entirely counterproductive?
That's possible, and Iran will pay the consequences. Most people don't realize that the Iranian economy shrunk 10% per year during 2012 to 2015. It's been able to grow at about 7% since then the sanctions were lifted. We go back to that situation, with the sanctions are reimposed, then Iran will have those challenges. The other concern, of course, is that the money that's been going into Iranian pocket has led to additional adventurism abroad. Look what they're doing in Syria. Look what they're doing in Yemen. Look what they're doing in Afghanistan. Look at their ballistic missile program. Look at how they're spending their money instead of on the people of Iran and the infrastructure. They're spending it on the military. So there's a tremendous amount of concerns here. And Iran is going to pay a price if they decide not to come back to the table and address these issues that Washington feels needs to be addressed.
Peter, let's talk about another issue as well. Look at what the US is trying to do with North Korea. Do you think this essentially gives Kim Jong-un a free kick? If the United States doesn't want a nuclear deal with Iran, then what are the odds of it being able to do a nuclear deal with North Korea?
Well, they're both different, of course, right? I mean, North Korea and Iran are different. But I would say that, just at a basic level, I think the message to North Korea, because the president could have decided not to do this till after he had his meeting with North Korea. I think the message to North Korea might be, if you're going to come to the table, you better be serious, and you better be looking at a comprehensive deal that addresses our concerns. You see what the concerns are about Iran. And if you're not willing to address those, then the negotiations are going to be unproductive. So North Korea is learning a lot from this.
Peter, very quickly, one thing's for sure, China and Russia are not going to play ball, yes?
That's probably the case. They have a different relationship with Iran, and that relationship, in my view, has been very troubling for many years. They've supported Iran on a number of things that are of concern to the United States, and I think that's why the United States, Washington, focused on European allies. And like I said, the European allies will be critical to getting Iran back to the table.
Peter, we have to leave it there. We're out of time, but thanks for your take on the situation this morning. That's Peter Brookes from the Heritage Foundation and my good colleague Sri Jagaraja with me around the